Good morning, the 12th of April 2025, and it's a good morning. Some rain coming. Somebody commented that a bird is playing himself up here on this tree. I hope he comes back and gives you a bit of a view. Certainly, the breeding season is getting underway, but it's slow. I haven't seen a swallow, although I have a report of one being seen close by here. My father always said the 10th of April, that's the time for a swallow to come. We're now gone past it. So that would be an indication of climate change and warming of the climate if the swallow was here, because the fly life that the swallow lives on can't exist in very cold weather. That's why he goes away. So anyway, we'll soon see on a report on that. Also, the daffodils are behaving funny. Someone says the seeded too early and got killed by the frost, and then they died away. It's not a really good year of daffodils in Ireland. The water levels are very low. And so that's it. But it's a great chance to get things done. And I've got an awful lot of success. So a few wee jobs to do yet. So I'm here with the cat. And the cat who lived around this winter, she's kind of saying now that, I deserve this. I deserve to have a bit of a lie out here. And so very, very good. But whatever she got, whether it was mice or something she got the other day, I was away for a day and a half. And I came back and she came out and there was a big meow, a big meow. Oh, meow, meow, meow. And I said, oh, you're hungry. And I got her the food, a good sachet of food, and give it to her, and she wouldn't eat it. Whatever she was at, she was getting food somewhere else. But the point is, she was meowing, I believe, just to say hello. It's the way the cat had of saying, oh, there you are, how are you? You know, that's the kind of a thing, because she wasn't looking for food. And it's funny how the animal behaves. Do you see, there's animals that are bred to enjoy human company and to live with humans. Cats and dogs are classic. They're around the humans so long that they're built to be in human company. And it's not good to have a cat or a dog on their own or without an owner or without something. But of course, it all boils down to breeding. And I have my cat. She was brought to the vet, and so only for that to be an odd buck. And I do see an odd buck around, smelling around. But the thing is, you'd have too many kittens. So that's all right, but we have to use common sense. But that's the thing, animals and dogs are designed to mix with people, and cattle to a certain extent as well, and sheep not so much. So that's the way we have bred them, and we should take responsibility for them all in some wise way. We have laws about dog licenses and all of that to make people have some wee control. In any event, so what's going on in the world? Well, nothing much changed from yesterday. The big debate is, has Mr. Trump collapsed the whole world economy, or has he actually saved the American people? And we get a few subscribers here from America. And it's great that they say we're in the US or Canada. That's a great help to me, because I can evaluate that comment. 10 comments about America from Ireland are not as good as one comment about America from an American or someone living in America. Now, one man there says he's in North Carolina. Indeed, any more usernames or any more subscribers, put your name, John Henry McCracken or whatever you are, NC for North Carolina, SC for South Carolina, South Dakota, SD. Put a wee stroke and then put the state, because every state has a code, a two-letter code. They have it designed like that. So I think Florida is FA and California is CA. So that would give me an indication of where you are without revealing your actual identity. You know what I mean? Just pins you down. Same if you're Australian and all that. It's a great help to evaluate those comments, because 98% of the comments I get are really genuine. Once I know they're genuine, that means all I have to do is evaluate them and see if there's a common thread running through them. And also then there's a few trolls, a few people who I think I met in an earlier internet websites and things like that, and discussion forums, and some of them were bad pups. Some of them were going nowhere. They were keyboard warriors giving abuse and publishing pictures of a cow's back end, or urinating, something just to say, look at the disgusting thing and all that, and a total ignorance of agriculture. So you get people like that, and I think they're better out of here. This channel is not for those people, because I know most of the people who watch my channel, and they're ordinary, decent people getting on the best. And I also know a lot of people watch me in hospitals and nursing homes because they want to see something different, and I try to get it through as best I can. Anyway, one of the things that is coming slowly through is the cost of living. I was talking to a man the other day who's just home from New York. He went over to some match or something, and a bottle of simple beer, a bottle of Coors Light beer, which is the same as here, I think, very near, is $9. $9. Now, I was in America in 1999 and 2001, and the prices were compatible to here. You get a good lunch, and they do good food for $13, 13 euros equivalent or thereabouts. So what the difference is very little. A beer or that was more or less the same as here. Bread and goods were the same as here. But I believe now it's gone to blazes. Now, a friend of mine went to California on a house swap and was there for, I think it's 3 weeks, and had a great time. But the prices were unbelievable. The prices were through the roof. I couldn't understand how anyone could live. So I think this is coming through now. There are videos there online of young people not able to afford anything with no future. And they have to begin to realise, if you vote for the Democrats, if you vote for the left, if you vote for Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Labour, People Before Profit, the Labour Party in Britain and all the left-wing parties in Europe, this is what you're going to get. Socialism is problem, according to Mrs. Thatcher, is you soon run out of other people's money. That doesn't mean that I favour unbridled capitalism. You have to tax people a bit and tax them reasonably and let them contribute to the poor and less well off and to the healthcare. You have to do that. Now, another big fault of unbridled capitalism is people can go away and may earn money without tax or anything else and come home here and buy land and up against good farmers, and they can't buy a bit of land because they can go 2 and 3 million, no problem, in the current inflationary atmosphere. And so you have people of doubtful reputation moving into farming with no experience, and some of them are ignorant as you would get. And they'll not be good farmers, there'll be trouble with them, and there'll be all kinds of things. So that's one of the effects of unbridled capitalism. You must have controls, you must make sure everyone pays their share, but you must make sure it's fair. And that's what I would be doing, and the immigration is part of that. Bringing in unbridled immigration without any checks at all or any vetting of the people from other cultures is not a good thing to do. Now, but the bottom line is, in the case of America and Ireland anyway, and Europe, it looks to me that only when these young people, their parents have sold their future, they have mortgaged their future. So what's happening now is that 30 years ago, their parents voted for parties that borrowed to the hilt. They lived off borrowing, and they never thought who would have to pay it back. And now the children themselves, their own children, have to pay it back. So essentially, all of us of my vintage, we have been living on the future of youngsters, on the assumption that there'd be so much great growth and such great things in the economy that they'd have nothing to do. And that is folly. That is the greatest and utter nonsense ever was conceived. But that's what our parents did. Never mind tomorrow, go in and vote. We're going to get a bit extra there on the children's allowance. We're going to get a bit extra on the dole. We're going to get this. And so what about the children tomorrow? Let them worry about themselves. And now tomorrow has come. And now they're in tomorrow. And we see the debt in America, unsustainable debt. We see efforts to move away from the whole American system by means of the BRICS and all these other currencies. We see America behaving in a way to other countries which would not be the way I'd do it. I might do it, but I'd do it slower, but surer. Now, Peter Schiff, he's a very good economist. He predicted the 2008 crash. He sells gold. He's a gold merchant. And he always predicted gold would come good, and it is. It's a store of value as the value of the other currencies goes down. But you know that America has a reserve currency, and they try to stop anyone trading in anything, only the dollar. When he made the point about a plane crashing on an island with a China man a Cambodian, a Japanese, a, a Pole. I don't know who else had he in Italian. I don't know, a Pole and a Laos, a Ugandan, and a few more, and they all crash on this island. But there's one American, one big fat American on the plane, and the plane crashes. And the next thing is the American decides that. What are we going to do? So he allocates the work up. The American kind of assumes charge. It's a bit like George Orwell's book, Animal Farm. The pigs take charge, but the American takes charge anyway, and he allocates a job to each person. One to gather sticks for a fire, one to gather fruit, one to hunt game, one to fish in the sea, one to secure other things that might be needed. And so everyone has a job, and they bring it all back, and he allocates another one to cook it. But he's the only one can eat. The rules are that he only can eat. So they collect all this stuff and they do a big meal. And after a few days, he realizes that the people are getting hungry. They won't be able to work or do anything if he doesn't feed them. So he starts giving them a bit of his food. And they all get a bit of his food, and they're living now just enough to do their tin, and this system goes on for a couple of weeks. And then someone begins to say, what happened if we got rid of him? What happened if we got rid of the American? We'd still be able to hunt, we'd cook our own, and we'd be able to have all our own food. And so this point is what he makes. What would happen if we got rid of the American? What would happen if we got rid of them altogether? The problem with that is that the British common law justice system was forged on the anvil of reality, and it was gauged big time for commerce. It was done so that if you invested in something, you got your money back. If the company folded, you got your share of the spoils when it was wound up by the liquidator. The rules were clear. The state had no say in the rules. You went into court, the rules was applied. And this led to all this capitalism and all this mortgages, prime mortgages, derivatives, and then lending rules. And they adjusted the lending rules so that they were fine-tuned. But central to it was the law. And even in the First World War, when Britain was fighting the Germans, they still kept that law. In Ireland, the Irish kept it as well, the common law and the law of contract, what the contract law is. And the Americans brought it on, and so did the Canadians. And this means that if you're trying to run a business, you can use that law to get whatever you're owed. Debtors have to pay you, and all of this sort of stuff. And that system was good. And that's the system that they taught us in our course when I did my business studies course back 20 years ago. You know where you stand. That's deteriorating a bit. But in Russia, you don't know where you stand. In Russia, you pick a nice site, you build a lovely house on it. Now you're going to sit back. The state can allocate that house to a police chief and say, we want that house, we'll give you a flat. And that was happening up to a few years ago in Russia. In China, the state owns everything, and the same can happen. It mightn't happen too much, but you have to keep ordinary. If you in Russia or China get above your station and you're not part of the system, they'll take it off you, simple. And you have no one to turn to. You won't have a YouTube channel to turn to. Get me point? In Africa, it's utter mayhem. In Africa, the police won't save you. If you build that nice house and the natives come, or the people around, rob you, blindo and attack you and kick the daylights out of you or kill you, the police will do nothing. That's the problem. That's the difference in the American, British system. Then in Europe, you're guilty of a criminal offence until you're found innocent. State takes on that everyone's guilty of a crime, whoever the police decide to charge. There's a prosecutor or judge there as a protection. The situation in Germany is they have laws too, but now we see these laws breaking down as people like me demand a return to common sense. We see Europe breaking down the law. We saw in America where they weaponized the law to keep Trump out and charge him with false Russian collusion. And we see now where people are being jailed in England for praying in their own homes. We see now that in Germany they've sentenced a journalist to prison for making a caricature of a politician. We see that they're breaking the rules on the Aarhus Convention and the Strategic Environmental Assessment all over Europe directive by not assessing all their crazy schemes. They just think it up and away they go with some of their followers grabbing all the money. And we see these unsustainable energy businesses going as a result that we have 400,000 people in electricity bill arrears in Ireland. Get me a point. So it's breaking down in Europe. There's a bit of a kickback in Hungary, in Slovakia and Italy, and now they've banned Marine Le Pen, the main one for office, from running in France, however that'll go. So the European system is breaking down, and the British system is not good, but they could return a Conservative government or Reform UK, but the Tory party reneged on the responsibility. Instead of taking responsibility and even going halfway where Trump is gone, they didn't do it. They caved in. They were weak. I still haven't fully got my head around how they got rid of Liz Truss. But anyway, that's another story. So this is what's happening. So the knives are out for Trump. And Trump will want to be very careful, and you want to be very lucky to be able to keep this going. It's possible that he has essentially erected a tariff barrier against China. China can sell nothing into America now. The tariffs are just too high. Will this dissipate? Will it die out? I don't know. And then it has to be looked at in the overall thing, which is that, whereas that Trump believes that reconciliation and detente with Russia is the right way to go, but that China have to be watched very carefully. There's no such thing as a political or a power vacuum. There's always someone looking for whatever you have. That is the great problem. I always make the analogy of a young lad starting to shine shoes on a street corner, and he shines shoes for people, and €1 go, puts on the polish, and needs a little chair for himself all, and then he makes so much money he buys the shoe shop next door, and now he's selling shoes. He's doing well there. Now he has to get staff. When he hires his first person, the first thing the person wants is a raise of pay, and he doesn't want to give it. And so you have now the opposite, where he was looking for handy money off the person going past with to get their shoes shined. Now somebody's looking for money of him. And so this is the way it goes in the capitalist system. But the communist system has been tried, and we see where that led to an absolute disaster. The state isn't fit to run anything. It's just designed on whatever big idea that these people get. Mad villains, and whatever is wrong with our democratic system. Idiots that have no brains at all are getting into power. And the answer then, when they make a mess of it, is put somebody with less brains in. I mean, Obama was a sort of disaster. Hillary wasn't much better. Biden was a disaster. And what was the answer by the Democratic Party for Biden? Kamala Harris, an airhead. They didn't pick out somebody that would do the job right. They could have put RFK, Robert Fitzgerald Kennedy, as a candidate for president, and he might have done all right. But they had that bespoke. That was all a deep state job there. They had that all sorted. And I see the hand of these interferers like George Soros and Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum all behind all of this. And no politician anywhere will admit that they're lobbying them, and they are lobbying them. They're using very clever tactics to beat the likes of Trump. Big time. And I think they had their hand in Liz Truss. I think they had. They can't get Maloney out. Viktor Orban, he's denied funds from the EU. And you see them banning and sidelining the ADF in Germany. So the whole thing smacks of a crowd of weaklings. Weaklings. People who want the state to do everything for them, or want the state to be there. I don't want to save anything for health. I don't want to have buy anything for my nursing home care. Let the state do all of that, and I can lie back and enjoy myself and have a few pints, or just do nothing, or talk and chat. I think that's part of it. And then over them, they elect these people like Helen McEntee, just out of school, more or less. They do that. They elect these ones. They give them money from a fund they have, and then they run them when they get into power, because the politician themselves hasn't the brains, like Dara O'Brien or any of these. No engineering or any capacity or capability whatsoever. So that's the story. That's the reality of what's happening, how we deal with it, and how it works. I don't really know. It's just a breakdown of democracy, really. But the thing is, there is a bit of democracy creeping into Europe, and they are able to defeat it. You see the way they're defeating Le Pen. Her victory in France would have changed everything, and you see what they do, the banner from office for Mickey Mouse stuff, whereas Christine Lagarde and Ursula von der Leyen did the same thing and no remarks passed. Is that a good summing up of it this morning? Yes, I'll see you back something for something else. But good luck and comment underneath. And our American friends comment. One man there commented that in North Carolina, the price of petrol, that's gasoline in America, has dropped a dollar since Trump got in. But Trump can't change this overnight. It'll take a little bit of time if the damage is not too far gone. Not too far gone. One of the biggest problems is this notion that you can make electricity out of nothing. We'll see you back, folks. Goodbye. Thank you.